Oh, this? Well, let me tell you how this became part of what might have been my favorite CES ever. Just gonna put that one there. It's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And I'm gonna recap for you a couple of things that happened at the Consumer Electronics Show of 2020. Primarily, what I did with Qualcomm. And I wasn't alone. I was, of course, with Isa Rodriguez, and the two of us were able to take part in a big scavenger hunt sponsored and hosted by Qualcomm, where we had to find Qualcomm-enabled products all throughout the show floor. Our adventure with Qualcomm would start off with an autonomous demo where we were able to get into a car that was outfitted with Qualcomm tech and it would literally drive itself. I'm actually not all that experienced when it comes to autonomous driving. I've been in a couple of cars that had it enabled, but this was like a full-on demo, something that I could actually see everything happening in real time as it was zipping down the 15 freeway in this case. I wish I was able to actually record my reaction though, because I will admit I was a little bit nervous coming into this car. After you.
Oh, give me a second.
And overall, the experience was pretty positive. I was in the backseat and there was this big screen in front of me, and it showed me in data points all of the different things that the car's sensors and cameras were detecting, including cars coming up on a merging lane. Even with cars appearing out of nowhere from on-ramps and merges and whatnot, the car was able to adapt accordingly, and it kept maybe 2 to 3 car lengths behind the car in front of it. This is all probably not new to anybody who might have an autonomous vehicle already, electric vehicle that has autonomous technology in it, but obviously this is a look into the future, into how our daily lives might be changed if we allow technology to actually take the wheel. Quite literally. See, even as a typical driver, I drive like every single day. I live in SoCal. I already had my foot on the brake as I got into the car because that's just my instinct. What I love is that there's this huge red button right here. And that's the button that they would press if they wanted to actually like override any of the automatic stuff. In the car was not only myself, Isa Rodriguez, and the engineer that was giving us the demo. There was also Carl Conrad, a fellow YouTuber that would end up being part of our scavenger hunt. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. This was the playing field of the scavenger hunt. The 5 of us were going to run around CES 2020 and find Qualcomm-enabled products, and we would get points scored to us based upon Instagram stories that we posted, tagging Qualcomm and also naming off the processor or technology that Qualcomm has in that product. There was a bit of a plot twist though. If you followed my Instagram and my Twitter, then you would know that instead of the 5 of us being on the field, there were actually 4 teams because Isa Rodriguez and I were going to team up. And before you say anything, it is not cheating. The reason why is because the 2 of us were going to go to all of the locations together, and even if we were posting on our own social medias, we were going to have the same amount of points because we would have the same amount of products anyway. And it wasn't like the other participants didn't have help as well. Carl Conrad had his videographer and fellow collaborator with him, Andrew Edwards had Kevin the Tech Ninja with him, and John Rettinger had a couple of people from his team as well. So with the playing field set and all of the products in mind, we went ahead and started from the Qualcomm booth in the North Hall and darted off to find more products. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Qualcomm did give us a certain list of products that they knew were going to be available on the show floor. These were ones that we all confirmed were going to be there, so we at least had some sort of guideline as to where we should go.
Okay, this is not good. We're in the LG booth right now. A whole lot of people here. I know that my girlfriend has pink hair. There she is. Kind of easy to lose each other right now.
Hitting all of the products in that particular list was not a requirement, and even then we could add even more products on top of that in order to get more points if we happen to know they would be there.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. You better get up out of here.
So as we were going down the list, I was racking my brain with Isa as we were running across the North Hall trying to find everything. We ran over to one of the major mobile booths like Samsung and started naming off every one of the phones that were there. And there were extra points for naming off 5G variants. You could take golf carts between the different halls, but Isa and I knew that the distance between the halls was not all that great, so the matter of convenience was trumped by our desire to win. We just blasted by Andrew and Kevin, and we ran all the way to the next hall so that we can continue the hunt. And I came up with a bit of a plan. As you know, here on my channel, I want to do more audio products, and I have plenty of them that are going to be reviewed over the next number of weeks. And some of them were represented at CES 2020. Their Qualcomm technology was the aptX codec. South Hall, I know, is where you get a lot of audio products. And while we were clamoring to get over to the Sands Expo, which is another portion of CES, what I wanted to do was make sure we went to some of the audio booths and we found all the aptX we could find.
Okay. Wow,
Stop getting distracted.
Cute.
Stop getting distracted. Stop getting distracted.
And here's where another bit of strategy came into mind. There are many ways of getting from the Las Vegas Convention Center to the Sands Expo. You could of course take an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi, but the taxi lines might be kind of long, so that left one option, and thankfully Issa and I already tried it out earlier in the day and even the day before. That would be the free shuttles, Route 12, going from the Sands Expo directly to the Las Vegas Convention Center and back. Once we got to the Sands Expo, however, we did notice that we were missing a few items on the list, which kind of freaked us out a little bit. We thought we weren't going to get as many points, but we got to the Sands Expo, went into the Tech Innovation Awards area, and we found a couple last products before heading over to the Win, where Qualcomm was stationed, and that was going to be our finish line.
All right, with this sign and the room back there, we are putting a stamp on our scavenger hunt experience. Hopefully we did enough to win. Let's see what happens.
Even as we were scarfing down tacos at Tacos El Gordo, not necessarily a victory meal, but definitely something we thought we deserved after all the running around that we did, we thought back on this scavenger hunt and realized that there were a ton of Qualcomm products that we didn't even realize were there because we gravitate to the smartphones, but there are always a ton of other things. I know I gravitate to the audio products, but that's just one of my perspectives, but we also found other products like dash cams and 360 cameras and Roombas that had Qualcomm technology in them too. One thing we did regret was that we weren't able to take a look at laptops or always connected PCs with the Snapdragon 8CX processor inside. We thought we were going to lose points from it, but later that night we went to the Qualcomm Mixer and we found out some really awesome news. Because of all of the times that Andrew and Kevin were on our tails, we knew that they were going to be our main competition. But it seems that all of the audio products that I had in mind actually boosted us all the way up because we got over 200 points and ended up walking away with this here trophy that I have in my hands. This is a shared prize between me and Issa, of course. If you want to hear her perspective on how this whole scavenger hunt went and also why it turned out to be one of her favorite CESs of all time, same with me, of course, you can head over to her channel. It's appearing in the card above and it's in the description down below. I want to give a quick shout out to Qualcomm. Thank you so much for sponsoring not only this scavenger hunt, but some of our content over at CES 2020. It's because of them that I was even able to come to this consumer electronics show this time around, and well, it turned out to be one of the best. But I also want to extend some gratitude to our fellow contestants, Andrew Edwards, John Rettinger, and Carl Conrad. The three of you, we were honored to be a part of this group, and we all had such a blast together that I hope we are able to do it again. But with all of that said, I'm going to call it on this one. I hope you enjoyed this little recap, this little vloggy type recap, including all of the IG stories from the Qualcomm Scavenger Hunt, the CES 2020 challenge as it were. And yeah, let me know how you guys felt about CES this year. Let me know what Qualcomm products you probably knew or didn't know were on the show floor, and maybe you were surprised by some of the ones we represented in this particular video and in this particular scavenger hunt. Get into the comment sections down below. Let's have that discussion. Drop some likes on this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There's a lot of stuff that's still coming, and I'm finishing up my coverage of CES 2020. One final thank you to Qualcomm for everything, and with all of that said, I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this one, and I'll just remind you to enjoy your tea, everybody. People kept telling us to pour stuff in there and drink out of the trophy. We haven't really done that yet. Maybe some tea would be on brand. We'll see.